Hello, good evening, Grand Rising, everyone. It is great to be back. I took a week off, not because of my own will, but because I was put on timeout. I know a lot of people are wondering what happened to Ishmael. So that's the reason why I couldn't broadcast, okay? It wasn't for my own volition. I was put on timeout for something I said. So I was suspended, you could say. Yeah, there we go. I was suspended. That's the word. But I am back. I am back, and I see that everyone that is normally on the chat is here. Starcadian is in the house. Thank you, brother, for always being here and preserving the high vibe in this chat. Now, today, guys, it's been a week. A lot of things have happened within the week. However, today I'm going to be talking about the Palantir infrastructure, which was originally developed as the Beast system by the Cabal, and how in the last few years the tables have turned when the Alliance took it over and used the Cabal's own technology to win this war against the deep state. Not to mention, a lot of people are asking me about the GCR and the redistribution of the world's wealth. Well, you could say that we are thankful to Space Force in collaboration with Starlink for securing a lot of the wealth that was again recuperated from the deep state. Okay, so it's going to go really deep today. A lot of this information does come from highly classified dossiers, that's how you pronounce it, that have been released by the White Hats. First and foremost, for the Jedis that couldn't make my live stream yesterday during my Sunday event in Sedona, I have great news for you. Unfortunately, the Zoom only maxed out 100 people. So for the other 100 people that couldn't make the Zoom, I did record the lecture. So the presentation is recorded, and therefore, if you guys could do me a favor and go to my website and show me the copy of your receipt that you guys paid the $20 for the stream, and I will go ahead and send you guys the recording, all right, so you guys don't miss it. And furthermore, I also wanted to acknowledge every single one of you guys for being here. I am deeply in gratitude to all of you guys for, always being here and loving this information that I share. And I also wanted to thank those that watch it on the replay because, like I always say, without you guys, I have nobody to talk about. And I also wanted to say that the event went well. A lot of the Galactic Jedi showed up. I had an opportunity to meet some of the Galactic Jedis in person, some of them even coming from other states, which was amazing. Thank you guys so much for being part of that event yesterday here in Sedona, Arizona. And so, yeah, it was a great turnout. I did bring some fruit. Thanks to my lovey, we were able to bring some fruit so that our guests could have some snacks, healthy snacks to munch on during that 2-hour presentation. The event was like 4 hours, of course, but 2-hour presentation. With that in mind, guys, we are living in the best times ever. We are living in a time where everything that has been hidden from us for thousands of years is about to be released to the general public in our lifetime between now and 2028, as 2028 is the deadline where this reality construct comes to an end. And before I get into my presentation regarding Palantir and how the White Hats have been reversing the deep state's own beast system to do a lot of the work that they have been doing in the last few years with some new operations. You guys are going to be in for another amazing intel report. Before I start, however, there is this amazing product called Folium that completely eliminates all the metals in your body, including the stuff that they put in people in 2019, right? Starts with the GR. Parasites, not to mention it also cleans out all the radiation or eliminates the radiation, clean out your mitochondria. It's called Folium. So Folium is a product that a lot of the Galactic Jedis have been using also. I do read the comments and I do hear a lot of the testimonies that people are seeing results using this holistic product. So the link is always in the description. And of course, Starcadian always puts the link in the chat. And is there anything else I might want to share? Oh, yeah, I do have some final spots left in Ascension 2.0 and our Cosmic Origin. Okay. Those courses begin next weekend. So I have a few spots left for those that want to take my courses via a webinar. 4 classes for $100, $25 a class, 4 consecutive weekends. You can't go wrong. All right, guys. With that in mind, let's get right to it. So, I'd like to talk about the Alliance takeover of Palantir, which is pretty much their way of turning their own beast system against them. Okay. So, let's just be real here, guys. Palantir's technology, known for its ability to aggregate and analyze massive amounts of data across government and corporate sectors, has been the backbone of modern surveillance infrastructure, extreme modern surveillance infrastructure. This massive surveillance system was actually rolled out as a counterterrorism tool post 9/11. Well, that was the official story. But of course, for those that have read The Secret Government, which is one of my books, and for those that are awakened, you all know that this deep state always creates a problem when they want to implement a solution, right? So that the people react and then they offer their solution. And that's the real reason why it was installed right around September 11, 2001. And by now, of course, you guys all know that Palantir was developed to be the basis of the beast system. Okay. In its inception, since its inception, rather, it has deep state cabal entrenchment, of course, in military, intelligence, law enforcement, and financial systems that gave it access to virtually everything. Okay. And I believe it was Edward Snowden that was warning us for a very long time that this system, this infrastructure was going to be implemented. So, yes, since the beginning, this thing was able to track all the banking transactions, travel patterns to encrypted communication, between encrypted communications, and of course, predictive behavioral algorithms, because it does work through artificial intelligence. So for years, its capabilities were actually exploited by the elements of what? The deep state and the cabal, right? To protect their networks and their, of course, corrupt empire, their obscure financial crimes, and persecute political opponents in the process, as to why a lot of the real freedom fighters were taken out in the last 30 to 40 years due to the counterintelligence, right? Thanks to Palantir. But in its pivotal shift, that marked the turning tide in the war for Earth, of course, because the Y Hats have actually gained full operation control of Palantir. And believe it or not, guys, according to this dossier, they were able to seize control of Palantir as early as 2019, 2020, the ending of 2019. Okay. So Palantir, of course, was originally developed with support from the 3-letter agency that starts with the C, it's a venture capital arm known as the In-Q-Tel. And this has nothing to do with the 16th letter of the alphabet, okay? This has nothing to do with the plan. This is something different. To provide cutting-edge software for big data analytics, for big data analytics, okay? Its architecture was designed to interface with multiple agencies, and I'm referring to all the 3-letter agencies, right? The one that starts with an N, ends with an A. The one that starts with a C, ends with an A. The one that starts with an F, ends with an I. And even ICE, right? Massive deportation. And of course, the one that starts with a D and ends with a D. And other private financial institutions. So the elites even gave it a nickname. They called it Palantir Gotham, right? Used by intelligence and military. So Palantir Gotham was used in commercial sectors. It became the most dominant platform in terms of synthesizing data from different sources into one integrated whole using, of course, AI algorithms. So the system allowed its users to track individuals in real time. For those that are just logging on, I'm going over the history and purposes of Palantir before it was taken over by the Y Hats in the last 5 years. So its purpose was designed to track individuals in real time, to map out relationships between people, money, locations, and even events, to even predict the future behavior based on metadata, right? Remember the movie Minority Report? This is where all this was heading. Of course, to also mine financial records, travel logs, social media, and biometric databases. So it was, even though it was originally developed as a counter-terrorism, right? The official story. Elements within the deep state have always used Palantir to protect their trafficking networks, to cover financial crimes through offshore havens, to eliminate whistleblowers, and of course, to monitor political dissidents. Mm-hmm. So it apparently became the Eye of Sauron. You know, they get this from Lord of the Rings, right? When you watch Lord of the Rings, the all-seeing eye is Sauron. Yeah, well, Sauron Omega is the name of the Antichrist. You know, it's all kind of connected. Even the writers of Lord of the Rings knew metaphorically what's really been going on. So Palantir has been compared to the Eye of Sauron, which is always watching, yet serving the few. But luckily for the people of the earth, the Y Hats were able to hijack Palantir, and this covert hacking of the surveillance grid was actually won by the Y Hats when they used Starlink in collaboration with the Quantum Freedom Grid. Now, I'm speaking a lot slower now because of the fact that when I speak way too fast, people are just like, they're trying to catch up, okay? So apparently, the Y Hats infiltrated it back in 2019, unbeknownst to the Cabal, using advanced positive alien technology that was given to them by the Galactics. And ever since then, Palantir's expansive structure also made it very vulnerable, okay? Because beginning as early as 2015, a covert faction within the US, a cyber command that was actually supported by the Y Hat military intelligence and off-world assistance, Commander Valiant Thor was actually part of this operation, using alliance technology, right? It's no longer Federation technology. It was using alliance technology to begin infiltrating the Palantir backend using sophisticated zero-day exploits and quantum decryption systems. So the key operations included, you guys ready for new disclosures here? Project Iron Gaze. Project Iron Gaze. And this is a cyber counter infiltration program that mapped the backend server structures of Palantir across cloud and on-premises nodes. And then also they used what became known as Operation Hades Spire, Hades, Hades Spire, which was an infiltration mission conducted by the Alliance that inserted AI counter algorithms into Palantir's codebase to reroute surveillance feeds to secure the Y Hat servers. And then they also use the white canary protocols, And what this allowed the Y Hats to do was to ping and tag global Cabal operatives in real time using Palantir social network mapping tools. So by the time it got to 2019, apparently the infiltration began in 2015, right? The Y Hats had already achieved a high level of privileged access that enabled full administrative override across multiple government and civilian Palantir instances. So from behind the scenes, Elon Musk 2.0. Elon Musk 2.0. I just want to make that clear, not 1.0, right? Elon Musk 2.0, the white hat Elon, using the Starlink network, which of course was launched by the Alliance, SpaceX, and Starlink are projects using Elon that were initially, again, launched by the Alliance. So back then, using Starlink network, they launched under the guise of the internet service was a vital ally when the Starlink network provided a quantum secure infrastructure backbone for the mirrored Palantir insistence that now controlled that was now in the hands of the Alliance. Okay, so that's how they were able to turn it over in their favor through Starlink, okay, in 2019. And ever since then, if you guys recall, that's when all of a sudden all of these arrests and warrants and indictments became to happen, right? So the arrest warrants were actually done by the algorithms when the White Hats took it over, right? The digital net was now exposing all of the bad people. So once fully operational, of course, the White Hats controlled Palantir's network. That became a digital dragnet for the White Hats. And here's how the system worked. Here's how the system worked. Well, behavioral pattern recognition was a big part of the system. That's how Palantir operates. Palantir identifies suspicious clusters of activity, such as multiple high net worth individuals that were visiting offshore banks with hours of major leaks. And that includes the Pandora Papers and the Panama Papers. Okay. And then also, this included social graph mapping using Palantir's dynamic relationship trees. Entire criminal networks were actually exposed from, sex transferring rings, right, trafficking rings, to biotech corruption to false flag event coordinators. The Whiteheads also use it as a global monitoring integration, which means that they pretty much tied into Interpol, Five Eyes surveillance, and even NATO's database. Okay, because NATO is part of the globalist. So Palantir was used to track individuals crossing borders under fake identities or even diplomatic passports. Can you turn on the air, please? And it was also used for financial forensics by the Whiteheads. And how they did this was through integration with RippleNet and the back end of Swift. Palantir actually was able to trace all the dark money flows to front companies and nonprofit organizations that were funding these bio warfares. Okay. And of course, they also discovered a lot of election ringing, right? And little one exploitation. Okay. And then, of course, the White Hats were also able to use it for geofencing and biometric tagging. And this was, again, used against the cabal to have access to the entire criminal network. So offenders that were actually that were in certain locations were, that were locked in certain locations were actually discovered. And when using burner phones or VPNs, Palantir was able to break through that, thanks to the White Hats, in terms of course, uncovering who these networks are. So that included a lot of arrests that were conducted in real time as suspects entered pre-tag zones. And then they also used it as a quantum courtroom systems, or in the quantum courtroom systems, rather, where every action taken by Palantir's AI was documented with time-stamped logs, admissible as digital evidence. Military tribunals began processing this data as early as 2021, and that's when they began the mass arrest of the real humans, right? Ever since then, we do know that they were quickly replaced by inorganic robotics that look human, that are in some cases very malfunctioning. Also, they used it to, you could say, to conduct the world arrest overall and the takedown since 2021. So with Palantir now turned towards the people that created it, right? They turned it against them. Thousands of sealed indictments were therefore unsealed across a globe because of that. Okay, and some notable operations also included. Are you guys ready for this? Operation Atlantis Rise. Operation Atlantis Rise. This was the arrest of multiple globalist financial overlords for orchestrating economic collapses and funding human experimentation, right? Covertly, covert human experimentations. This also included Project Nightfall. Now, Project Nightfall, that was the exposure of the Hollywood link transferring operations, right? Trafficking. Several media moguls. And when you think about it, that's when that big Hollywood tycoon but the reason why the Me Too movement began happened as a result of Project Nightfall, just to give you guys an example. And of course, a lot of these elites became arrested, Hollywood elites, under the RICO status, okay? And also, in the hands of the White Hats, Palantir also allowed for a Biogate exposure. Okay, what that means is it was the mapping of connections between the pharmaceutical executives, right, big pharma, right, government agencies, and the Wuhan. You could say people that worked in the laboratory, okay, leading to arrest of officials. You could say officials in multiple countries that claim to be, you know what I mean, health practitioners. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I have to speak like this now. I don't want to get put in timeout again, or even worse. So, DC Code Purge was also part of this, where they were tracking rogue intelligent officials embedded in the Department of Justice, and of course, a three-letter agency that starts with an F, ends with an I, who were involved in, of course, the manipulation of what happens every 4 years, right? When we get a new leader in position of the White House, right? They found out how you could say ELECTION had been manipulated for many, many years, okay? It also allowed them to see their blackmail networks and all of the false flags that were actually conducted in the last 50 years. All right. What happened on September 1st, 2011 was not the only false flag. There were so many of them, including all the disasters that took place, right? Waco, Texas, Oklahoma City bombing. I mean, all of that stuff. Anyways, let's continue here. So, tracking rogue intelligence, okay, that was pretty much used against the cabal in the hands of the White Hats. Now, it is believed now, since Palantir is in the hands of the White Hats, and now with the cabal being neutralized, and Palantir is firmly, of course, in the hands of the Alliance, its future purpose is now shifting. Okay, it's now shifting where Palantir is being, you could say, repurposed to serve the organic governance based on transparency. Okay, and a lot of this has to do with the organic, sentient, positive AI known as Prometheus, which is also working with the Alliance in terms of hijacking and neutralizing the negative AI working with the cabal. So, in the future, it is believed that the Alliance, they want to use it for transparency infrastructures, or transparency transactions rather, protection of the people, and then of course they want to use it for justice. Okay, so future applications do include restoring stolen assets, and what this means is that throughout the last few hundred years, a handful of families that were under the command of the Rothschilds have been pretty much seizing most of the world's wealth for the last 500 years. Okay. And so what this means is, in terms of restoring stolen assets, it means that the Palantir system, under the control of the Alliance, is now going to use this to bring that back to national treasuries using transaction tracebacks. Okay. And then, of course, they're also going to use it for monitoring environmental crimes by tracking illegal deforestation, you could say, geoengineering, and even ocean dumping. So that's one of the ways in which the Alliance is going to be using Palantir. Another thing that they're going to be using it for is ensuring clean elections, right? No more, you could say, manipulating what happens every 4 years, right? So they're going to be ensuring clean elections by integrating biometric voter verification and real-time vote tally audits. Okay, so now it's like everyone that votes, the real votes are going to be counted for. So again, this is coming from a dossier that was released by the White Hats in terms of how they're planning on using Palantir. Okay, they're also going to be using it for the protection of the little ones worldwide, right? By detecting predatory behavior patterns through school and online system integration. It turns out that there is a lot of online predators roaming around the internet looking for little ones, right? So Palantir is going to use it to protect the little ones. So the system will operate under a cosmic law framework overseen by the White Hat Councils, which are the 12 generals, and eventually integrated with advanced ET technologies that uphold the law of one and the principles of universal justice. Okay, so what was once the Cabal's all-seeing eye of control, right, the Eye of Sauron, as they nicknamed it, has been apparently reforged into a sword of truth under the control of the White Hats. So now Palantir, in the hands of the Alliance, is going to be a divine instrument of digital judgment, one that tracks not only movements but intentions, not only transactions, but also what's happening in terms of people trying to cheat others, you could say. So this turning of the title marks a historical moment, guys, okay, in the spiritual war, where the same technology once used to enslave humanity is now leading the change to liberate it. So the data has been collected, right, by the Alliance, right? The arrests are underway, the arrest of the replacements, because the real ones were arrested back in 2020, 2021. And justice, algorithmic and divine, um, what they call a system of justice using algorithms for divine outcomes is finally here. Now, it was brought to my attention by Commander Valiant Thor that this is part of the fourth D-Earth timeline, okay? The fourth D-Earth timeline is not part of the negative timeline. This is a timeline where the people of the Earth will inherit this advanced technologies, and it will be used for good. And that's called the fourth D-Earth, okay? So for those that go to the fifth D-Earth reality, there will be no Palantir. In fact, there will be no governments. It'll be councils, okay? Now, in terms of the redistribution of the wealth, in terms of securing where most of the assets were stored by the Alliance, right? They have actually been using Space Force to pretty much safeguard these assets that they seized, of course, from the elites. Okay. So, as you guys know, we are in the final phase of this war against the Cabal. And so these stolen assets that the Cabal was able to accumulate over the centuries, ever since they installed fractal banking, the central banking system, right? The Rothschilds, through, and of course, using it to create the wars, the trafficking of humans, illegal taxation, central banking fraud, and suppression of free energy are now being reclaimed by the Alliance and also being protected through a covert technology network was led by the U.S. Space Force and its international partners. So let's get into this, guys. Okay, this operation is not only economic in nature; it is rather a spiritual. Right? It's part of spiritual warfare. It's moral and it's evolutionary. So what is actually now unfolding is a full spectrum offensive to dismantle the old Babylonian financial control system that could actually be traceable back to Babylon, even further beyond the Roman Empire, right? Because it's the same system of control that these bloodlines that come from Cain and Nimrod have been implementing throughout all of history. Okay. So apparently, thanks to Space Force, they have been able to install a system of decentralization, which what we call the quantum financial system, to secure all transactions and secure an infrastructure that ultimately supports planetary liberation. Okay, so let's talk about the wealth in question, because that includes trillions of dollars, right, in gold, precious metals, and not to mention all of the you could say diamonds that were stolen from Africa, and treasures that were taken in the late 1800s by the Round Table groups, which were led by Cecil Rhodes and John Ruskin. For those that have read my book, The Secret Government, it's all there. So apparently, yeah, they've been kind of, you could say, hoarding not only wealth, bonds, precious metals, but even ancient artifacts. Okay. And a lot of this was recovered by Space Force. And most importantly, guys, suppressed technologies. So, according to whistleblowers from within the secret that are operating within the secret space program, and according to some intelligence leaks, the cabal's controls mechanism were so vast and so complex that the alliance needed to use technologies that are 2,000 years ahead of the general public, which means that they had to use technologies that were even ahead of the cabal to recuperate all of the stuff that they took from us in the last 500 years. And of course, this included the Vatican gold vaults, which were raided by the Alliance 2022, which was another Rothschild-controlled central bank, believe it or not. The Vatican was always working with the Rothschilds through the Jesuits. This also included the Swiss banking cartels, which, again, is connected to the Vatican. The deep underground bases that were storing looted treasures, right? And offshore trust networks that were linked to crown corporations. The alliance began targeting these assets in earnest after key breakthroughs in global surveillance and cyber warfare in the late 2010, especially following Trump's establishment of the U.S. Space Force in December of 2019. So apparently, Space Force became the technological backbone of this operation. Okay. So while Space Force was publicly introduced, right, as a military branch to oversee threats in orbit, its true purpose was far more sophisticated, guys. It was to act as the command center for advanced interdimensional surveillance, thanks to the Galactic Alliance, quantum intelligence, and global security efforts, all conducted by Space Force. And that included stuff that they took from Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works. Literally, the Alliance through Space Force were able to seize a lot of the technology that was developed by Lockheed Martin when they were serving the military-industrial complex, and they were able to take some of that stuff back. They were also able to take over the quantum communication systems that were previously classified under DARPA, all right? And this also includes the X-37B unnamed space planes, right, used to monitor, intercept, and recover data across Earth's surface and in low Earth orbit. So these platforms are now being used in classified missions that involved, are you guys ready? Tracking movements of Cabal gold and digital assets using AI-enhanced orbital sensors, quantum tagging of precious metal stockpiles with isotope frequency signatures, coordinating with international alliance partners like Russian alliance and Chinese white hats to intercept rogue operations attempting to reroute wealth to the safe havens. And of course, a lot of this is connected to what is now going to be the new financial system in the 4D Earth, known as the QFS. And that is all part of the liberation process of the Earth, or what they call the redistribution of wealth back to the people. So the wealth that was seized from the cabal is actually being reintegrated into a quantum financial system with a blockchain and a network that actually is designed to read your own energy. Okay, this is part of Prometheus, which is an organic, sentient, positive AI that the Alliance has been working with to countermeasure the Cabal's negative AI. So, in terms of establishing the quantum financial system, as many of you guys know, this will prevent fraud. It will prevent all kinds of manipulation and theft. It will monitor all global transactions in real time. Okay. And it's overseen not by any single government, but by the International Alliance, which now consists of over 109 countries, led by benevolent Earth and off-world factions, including Commander Valiantor. So Space Force satellites are believed to be supporting QFS by hosting quantum keys and secure orbital platforms, running autonomous, you could say, protocols that flag illegal transactions, linking new sovereign banking systems in GESARA-compliant nations. And so a central figure in this system is believed to be, of course, Project Odin, right, which is working with a positive organic AI-assisted satellite network, also that was used to surveil and track every banking transaction and anything that was part of a program that was using off-world data encryption technologies that were actually rumored to have been reversed engineered from benevolent extraterrestrial craft. Okay, so like I mentioned before, Space Force is the front of Solar Warden. So all of this advanced technologies that they have been implementing to win their war against the Cabal aren't new. They've actually had it since the 1960s and 70s. And even more so today, as they are inheriting more advanced technologies from the Orma race. So advanced technologies did play a huge part, guys, in terms of shaking down the Cabal and bringing the Cabal to its knees, as we are now in phase 4. So multiple types of exotic technologies have been deployed to ensure the security assets that they took back from the Cabal, pretty much. Okay. And believe it or not, this also included what is known as zero-point energy scanners. These are used in dumps, deep underground military bases, and vaults to detect hidden compartments and quantum shielded containers. And boy, thanks to this zero-point energy scanner, the Alliance was able to use to find a lot of the missing little ones that were actually in different underground corridors that were hidden. Nobody had access to. So that's how they were able to secure and you could say save a lot of little ones. And then they also used it for anti-gravity transport vehicles. Again, Space Force is already using anti-gravitic technology, right? And what this means is they used it for the extraction of wealth, the anti-gravitic transport vehicles. They used it for the extraction of wealth from high risk or inaccessible zones, such as beneath the Vatican, or off-coast shipping routes as well. Excuse me. And they also used what is known as a quantum AI integration, which is a non-sentient benevolent AI built on ancient Lyran architecture, Lyran Arcturian architecture, I'm sorry, in assisting in real-time financial telemetry, helping coordinates wealth redistribution via light-coded data flows. Okay, so this is even beyond my comprehension. Okay, this is what they call the quantum AI integration, which is a type of technology used by benevolent races, such as the ancient Lyran and Arcturians, used it as an architecture in assisting in real-time financial telemetry that helped coordinate the wealth redistribution via light-coded data flows. Okay, interesting. Also, dimensional cloaking. They were using it for dimensional cloaking. These are technologies that acquired through interstellar alliances that allowed Space Force, aka Solar Warden, to cloak to cloak mobile command centers and gold transport operations from enemy eyes, both human and non-human. And the reason I say non-human is because some of these beings that these super soldiers and special military groups that were working with the Alliance in these underground dumps were actually reptilians. Okay. So, yeah, that's what I mean by non human. Okay. And overall, this was designed to secure the global nodes of wealth after they seized it from the Vatican, the Swiss banks, and beyond. So, according to multiple whistleblowers, including intel drops from the 17th letter of the alphabet, major operations have already actually taken place. Okay. So, but going back to the seizing of the Vatican vault back in 2021, it is believed that nearly 650 airplane loads of gold were reportedly removed from underground vaults beneath the Vatican by US and European alliance forces. This gold was traced and tagged using isotope frequency mapping capabilities. Also, the Swiss bank collapsed between 2022 and 2024. Operations led by the Alliance insiders within the Bank of International Settlements helped crash the legitimacy of black money laundering channels. And then, not to mention, as revealed 2 weeks ago, Operation Trust 2.0, right, which is a psychological operation to bail the cabal into disclosing hidden assets, to bait the cabal, rather, not bail. It's a psychological operation to bait the cabal into disclosing hidden assets by pretending to negotiate a false amnesty. So all confiscated resources are being consolidated into a multi-layered asset protection system, including bunkers, secure vaults, and digital encryption grids managed by Space Force and the Earth Alliance intelligence agencies. So apparently, a lot of this was possible due to the ET assistance, right? Advanced guidance for this operation has always come from benevolent extraterrestrial allies. And these are namely factions from the Galactic Alliance, including the Andromeda Council, the Pleiadian emissaries that are working through the telepathic downloads and direct contact with Earth-based Alliance operatives. So these beings have provided maps of Cabal gold routes, ancient recovery codes for lost Atlantean vaults. Yes, this seizing the treasures and, seeing who gets control of the wealth could actually be traceable back to the ancient world, okay, including after the fall of Atlantis. Solomon, who was the son of King David, was actually working for the Alliance 5,000 years ago, and at that point, the Alliance was using Solomon to consolidate the world's wealth. Okay, but then after Solomon's death, it seems like the Cabal back then were able to then steal that again. Not all of it, though, because most of his wealth was actually stored deep under his temple and then it was recovered. What is it? 3,000 years later, over 3,000 years later, by the Knights Templar. All right, let's continue here. So again, part of this operation was to recover ancient recovery codes for lost Atlantean vaults that were left by Atlantean priest kings. Cloaking tech to hide wealth transports from negative AI, right, such as the Red Queen. Thanks to Prometheus, the Red Queen um, had no power over this, okay? And of course, the Draco surveillance networks. So this was designed to also protect the transport of the wealth from the Draco's surveillance networks, who are the bad reptilians, right? So this is strong, right? This is a strong effort, collaboration. Um, Overall, there is a strong belief amongst many different, you could say, members of the alliance that this wealth includes more than just money, right? It includes ancient relics, star maps, and DNA archives that were intended for humanity's post-ascension phase. Post-ascension phase, okay? So the long-term plan did involve a wealth redistribution, Nasera Kasera, okay, which includes debt forgiveness. A lot of people are asking me, is my debt going to be forgiven? Yes, it is. The elimination of the three-letter agency that starts with an I and ends with an S, and of course, all the central banking systems. And of course, everything's going to be backed by precious metals, including digital currencies. Those are the only ones that are going to be left, you could say, that are going to survive. The digital currencies that are not backed by precious metals are going to also go away. Okay. And this also includes funding of the humanitarian projects like free energy, planetary healing tech, and advanced medbeds. So the security of this rollout depends entirely on the continued surveillance and enforcement capabilities of Space Force, which acts as the planetary firewall against any resurgence of financial manipulation. So, in conclusion, guys, we could say that the Earth Alliance, through the technological might of Space Force, has executed the most sophisticated planetary reclamation in human history, something that could be traceable back to thousands of years. And through a blend of classified space operations, quantum sentient organic AI, ancient wisdom, and extraterrestrial collaborations, they were actually able to secure the wealth that was once used to enslave humanity. And now this wealth, my friends, is being repurposed to see a new golden age of transparency, abundance, and sovereignty. And so as the veil continues to lift, humanity will not only witness the fall of a global financial empire that technically originated in Babylon, but we are going to be able to experience the rise of a new cosmic civilization that is rooted in what? Truth, unity, and divine will. Truth, unity, and divine will. So, again, for those that jumped a little late on the live, I was put on timeout for a week, so I couldn't do a live, if you guys know what I mean. But I'm back. I took that opportunity to work on my presentation that I gave on Sunday. And again, for those that couldn't make the online stream due to a maxing of the Zoom, I did record the presentation. And if you email me with a copy of your receipt that you paid the $20, I'm going to send you the recording. Okay, guys? Anything else before I give some shout outs?
Give your email because some people need that for the Zoom link thing.
Oh, okay. So my email for the Zoom thing.
Spell it in your typing.
It's actually, if you guys go to my website, I have.
The website one doesn't work.
Yeah, it does work actually. Oh, it doesn't work. Okay, so I guess I'll give you guys my other email. Project Restoration Zion at gmail.com. Okay. Project Restoration Zion at gmail.com. And if you could actually type it in for people on, that'd
I
be
just
great.
did.
All right. Thank you. And let me go ahead and pin that real quick. So, yeah, Project Restoration Zion at gmail.com. I need a copy of the receipt that you guys paid $20, and I will send you guys the recording. Okay. And anything else before I open it up for Q&A? Oh yeah, I do have a mailing address, and I do want to thank all some of the people that have been sending me stuff via the mail. I appreciate it. I do receive it all. Some of the foreign money currency, thank you for that. Some of the silver coins with the Space Force and my name in the back, thank you for that. I appreciate all the
Nick
gifts.
West.
And that was Nick West, by the
He
way. So
was
big shout out
really
to
nice.
Nick West for that amazing Space Force silver coin. And he had my name engraved in it, which was awesome. Thank you so much. So my mailing address is 1771 West State 89A, State Route 89A, Suite B, Box 3015 in Sedona, Arizona, 86336 zip code. All right. And I will also put that in the comments at the end of the show. I do want to give some shout outs. I see Philip Vitali is in the house. I see Sue Jackson is in the house. Thomas Flips, David Hakes, Aaron is in the house. Rocco is in the house. Jill Hunt is in the house. Deanne Johnson, Christine Beach, I believe, and all 2,728 people that are in the house. And I do want to acknowledge once again Starcadian for being my moderator. Thank you so much for always being here. I did miss you guys, by the way. It's very unusual for me to not be live every 2 days or 3 days. I do want to let you guys know that. I know a lot of you guys were worried. I did get some emails. People were wondering what happened to me. But again, I was just put on timeout for about a week. Okay. So it wasn't by choice, guys. It wasn't by choice. I do have a super chat from Yvette Smith. She says, Ishmael, do you know who Ben Fulford is? Yes, I do. I mean, I don't know him personally, but I've heard of him. He says President Trump isn't the real one out there. He is bad and part of the deep state. What have you heard about this? And then where is the real President Trump? Well, okay, that's a four-part question. Um, you know, I did mention that there are multiple Trumps, right? There are doubles. There's even a AI Trump cyborg version that is working for the deep state. So, as far as that one being in the White House, I am not sure. I could actually investigate that and get some answers from Commander Valiant Thor. However, I do believe that the original Trump, like I mentioned before, and I'll mention it again, is not in the public. It's not. He's not in the White House. He's actually secured in a special spot. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to reveal where anymore. Used to be Cheyenne Mountain, but things have changed. Okay, things have changed. All right. So, oh wow, thank you for all the super chats. Let me start with.
Benjamin Fulford said that he was replaced and that the real Trump is in Greenland at a base.
Okay, so according to my lovey, who listens to Benjamin Fulford, she said that that the real Trump was replaced, and he's now in some sort of a base in Greenland, and that they replaced him with a different Trump, right? According to Benjamin Fulford. All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to look into that. All right. So I do have another super chat from WRK. Thank you so much. No question. Thank you for the super chat. Hope is real. Thank you so much for the super chat, sister. Ishmael, I feel like I have been quantum jumping a lot lately. I am just at more aware of it. I am glad you were not missing. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad I wasn't missing either. I was just kind of put on timeout. But you know what? Quantum jumping is a big part of you already shifting into the new Earth, because in the new Earth, especially in the 5D Earth, there is no time. There is no time. Do you know how to? There we go. That's another super chat. Thank you so much, Loretta. Loretta Addicts, for your super chat. She says, when we ascend to the 5D, will we have an avatar that remains in 4D? Yes. Which means that you'll be able to transfer your consciousness from the 5D into the 4D avatar at will. And then, of course, revert it back to the 5D avatar when you're ready to go back to the 5D Earth. So the answer to that is yes. We actually have an avatar. Believe it or not, guys, we have an avatar on every level of reality, all the way to the 12th dimension where our oversoul is. Okay? All right, random questions. I just wanted to make sure I got all the super chats knocked out first. Some people question Benjamin Fulford. Okay. You guys have the right to agree and disagree with whatever you guys want. No problem. But I will look into that.
Are you going to talk about how you're going to post your recording later?
Yeah, I've already mentioned that.
Paid session?
Yeah. Okay, somebody just wants a flying car. I'm sick of driving. Thank you, WRK, for your super chat. Forget to write the question, son. Laughing out loud. Will there be a big earthquake? And you, Ami, in California, like Michelle Hato says? Well, there is a lot of seismic activity happening in California, and it has been for a long time. And it is believed that it will lead to the fault line splitting, known as the San Andreas Fault, which is one of the biggest fault lines on the planet, next to the other fault over there by the northern east-west. I forget the name of that one. But yeah, it is rumored and it is believed that there is a big earthquake expected sometime in California. Thank you, Rocco, for your super chat. He says, thank you for all you do, Ishmael. Pronounce Rocco Rock. Oh, is that your name, Rocco Rock? Let's see. Great job with Jaco. Oh, yeah. I was interviewed by Michael Jaco. I think it was last Saturday. Last Saturday. So if you guys want to watch that interview, or I might just even post it. His wife did send me the entire interview, so I could just post it on here if you guys want. No problem. Hopefully, I don't get. You could say put on timeout for that one as well. All right, let's continue. Ishmael, what about 31 Atlas? Well, I did a whole presentation of 31 Atlas about a week and a half ago. So for all my new subscribers, I would suggest to watch all my intel for the last year or two. And yeah, 31 Atlas is not no alien invasion, by the way. It's not setting up the course towards a Project Bluebeam either. Those are actually members of the High Council of the Guardian Alliance races beyond the Galactic Alliance that have returned to secure the positive ascending timeline, and most importantly, to activate the descendants of the Guardian race, right? Which could be any one of you guys, the chosen ones. Somebody's asking if they could pay $20 for the replay of my presentation. Well, how would I go about doing that, guys? Because there's about 100 people that already paid for it that couldn't get in due to a maximum capacity. That Zoom was, I guess, that Zoom couldn't really go beyond. So how am I going to do that? How am I going to just go ahead and post it for those that want to pay for it? Because if I post it on here, anyone could watch it. So I think it's only fair to make sure that those that paid $20 get to view the presentation. Again, in that presentation, I gave a little insight, a little spoiler on information that I have not yet published. That's not going to be published for another 6 months to a year. Um, somebody's asking me to set up a Patreon or something on Vimeo in case something happens here. Um, I might do something like that. But I don't want to charge a lot. Maybe like $1 a month, and you guys could pay some sort of a website subscription in case something happens here. That's not a bad idea, right? $1 a month. I think a lot of you guys would appreciate the continuation of the intel that I'm going to be providing. So, yeah, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Let's see, more questions here. Um, a lot of you guys are worried, right? That one day I might not just be around anymore. um, I'll think of something, guys. I'll think of something. What's up with those fires in Arizona, Grand Canyon? And does it have something to do with what's going on? Well, these catastrophes always have something to do with what's going on in terms of the battle between the Cabal and the Alliance. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the reason why I haven't been to the Grand Canyon is because of those fires. But again, the Grand Canyon exists over an alien city. Underneath the Grand Canyon, there's a huge alien city. All right, I'm back. Um, Sorry guys, I was kicked out of my own live again for a few seconds, but I am back. To answer the questions, yeah, there is a huge underground cavern system underneath the Grand Canyon where there are giants, there are extraterrestrials, and huge advanced infrastructures, advanced alien infrastructures that exist there. So I'm going to have to actually, on the next report, I'm going to actually go deep into that. All right. I'm going to have to ask Commander Valiant Thor to give me the intel on that. That's a very good one. Now I'm going to continue answering questions here. Well, thank you so much, Greg, for the super chat. He says, "Welcome back, Ishmael." Thank you, guys. I missed you guys, by the way, for a whole week. Is the solar flash the rapture that the Bible mentions? Well, I believe, yeah, it's the bifurcation of timelines. It's a separation from the righteous and the wicked. So, yes, absolutely, I believe it is. Can you speak in ascension symptoms these past week, days? You look like you have them too. This is a question from Kri Kri. Um, Ascension symptoms are multiple things, and it affects everybody differently. Yes, I am being affected by them. I'm pretty much, it's hard for me to sleep sometimes, or throughout the day, I feel kind of like lethargic. I feel heart palpitations half the time. I feel like I'm having a heart attack. So it affects everybody differently, guys. And yes, we are all going through them right now. Talk about Lionsgate. Well, Lionsgate happens every year. Lionsgate is it happens around the ending of July, the last week of July, and the beginning of the week of August, and that's when our sun aligns with Sirius. Okay, the big dog star. So that's what Lionsgate is. It happens every year. Speaking about Lionsgate, when is the 8th? Friday, right? Friday. I'm actually going to be speaking on an online galactic conference, and I believe it is a paid event. I think it's only $44, guys, $36. The link is in the description if you guys want me to break down some fascinating cosmic history, you could say, for only 45 minutes. Of course, this is not like my presentation. My presentation was almost 2 hours, about an hour and 45 minutes to be exact. But for 45 minutes, I'm going to be breaking down the cosmic history. If you guys want to hear about it, go to my description, click the Galactic Conference, and buy yourselves a ticket. And don't forget to put my name. When you buy the ticket for $44 or $36, just put Ishmael so that way I can get credit for that. So that's going to be happening this Friday. And I'm only going to be speaking for about 45 minutes. But not to mention, you guys get to hear other speakers also that are part of this industry or this community. Thank you so much, Hope is Real, for your second super chat. Do you know anything about Melhole? Melhole. I've never heard of a Melhole. No. I don't know who Melhole is. I'm sorry, Hope is Real. I don't know anything about Melhole. I could look it up, give you an answer at a later time, but as of now, I've never heard of that before. Yeah, thank you. Starcadian just put the link for the Galactic Conference. Again, if you guys buy a ticket for the online Galactic Conference, make sure you guys put my name at the end, Ishmael, okay? When you purchase a ticket, say for Ishmael, so they know that you guys are there to see me. Again, they say that every year on the 8/8, our sun aligns with its parent sun, which is Sirius B. So that's what the Lionsgate portal is all about, right? And that's also a time for manifestations, especially if you are on the spiritual path. That is a time to really take things to the next level. So I hope you guys do your meditations and prayers, your rituals, connect with God, whatever it is that you guys do to shift your energy on that very day. Michael De La Rocha has a question. Thank you for your super chat. He says, "Hi, Ishmael. I find these discussions immensely interesting and riveting. Honestly, I am not sure how to reconcile much of what you say, but it appears that some of what you say makes sense and comes true." Well, thank you, Michael De La Roche. I appreciate your honest feedback. Thank you, brother. I do my best to keep you guys informed always. Ishmael, do you think we will have what is known as a jubilee in debt forgiveness? Oops, I just lost that question. Yes, we are. If you listen to the presentation from the beginning, I talk about that. Let's see. Ishmael, do you think we're going to, or what is known as a jubilee and debt forgiveness? Ishmael, do you think we will have what is known? Yes, we will. Yep, absolutely, Christina. Well, let me correct this. April, is it Butts? That's her last name, Butts. Okay. I keep hearing that the negative blood type, you're referring to Rh negative, are Enki's offspring. No, Enki is part draconian reptilian. Um, how can I explain that? That is not the case. I don't have horns or a tail, laughing out loud. No, the Rh negative blood type are the descendants of the angelic Anunnaki, the positive Anunnaki, not the negative. Yeah, they are descendants of the Anunnaki, but not the negative Anunnaki. And by the way, I do appreciate all the super chats. That really helps a lot, guys, because I have not been on here for over a week. How will dolphins ascend? Well, dolphins, just like ourselves, are multidimensional beings that are already operating in the fifth dimensional Earth reality via their consciousness. The power of Mel's hole. I guess other people know about that. I'm gonna have to look into that. I've never heard of Mel's hole. Have you heard of Mel's hole? No. Okay.
No, I thought it was misspelled or something.
Yeah, I thought she was gonna say like Mel Gibson or something, but I've never heard of Mel's hole. There are a few channelers on TikTok that channel Enki. Ooh, be wary and careful of that, guys. That's part of the that's part of the false alien god agenda. Okay, where they want people to worship aliens as gods. We don't want that. All right, somebody's saying Mel's hole is a giant hole that a rancher found on his property somewhere in the. Oh, this is interesting. I guess we now know what it is. Mel's hole. Oop, I just lost it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Mel's hole is a giant hole that a rancher found on his property somewhere in the USA. The hole has a lot of controversy. Nobody has been able to find a bottom, and it seems bottomless. Oh, okay. So it seems like Mel's hole probably connects to the inner earth. Who knows? I'm going to have to actually look into it, guys. And next time I go live, which is Wednesday, I will give you guys a full report on that. Oh, thank you guys for all the love. We felt lost without you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Twilight Farms. Thank you. All right. So Michelle G says that Mel's hole is a portal. Looks like it is a portal that's perhaps connected to the inner earth. Where was Atlantis located? In Antarctica? No. The main land of Atlantis was actually located in the South Atlantic region, Atlantic Ocean region. And a portion of it was connected to Antarctica, but the main structure where, the circles within circles within circles, which is the main headquarters city, that was located in the Southern Atlantic Ocean. Senor Ismael, any idea when we are getting the replicators? Again, Jose, the advanced technologies are going to be rolled out after the disclosure. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but it is scheduled to happen. And yes, those replicators are very real. Thank you so much, Fritz. Again, is it Metic? Thank you so much for your super chat. You guys want to see a cool picture? I love lions. I love lions. Excuse me. I hope I'm not getting the hiccups. There is a video now on YouTube that shows they finally got to the bottom. Okay. I guess we're still on the subject matter of Mel's Hole. And there is a huge ancient city. Told you guys, it probably connected to the inner earth. You just watched it Saturday night. Well, thank you so much, Jackie Baby, for giving us answers. So, pretty much, hon, Mel's Hole is a hole that is almost bottomless, but again, it's connected to some sort of an inner earth city, as stated by Jackie Baby. Jackie Baby. Thank you so much. Well, there you guys have it. For that person that was asking about Mel's Hole. See, that's why I love you guys. Not only are you guys awakened, but a lot of you guys are in the know. You guys know what's going on. I love that about you guys. You guys aren't mentally lazy. You guys are critical thinkers. You guys are nonconformist. And most importantly, all of you guys have a big heart. Also, somebody's saying, okay, so they're adding to the little story here. Mel's Hole is 9 miles west of Ellensburg, uh, WA, whatever that means, and considered an urban legend. Okay, good to know. Who built all of the old world structures, cathedrals, pyramids? This is a question from Savvy. Well, the old world structures were actually built by the Tartarians, who many believe was a civilization that was actually started with Solomon. And then later it continued uh, after thousands of years later in the what 17 1800s, right? So most of them were built by the Tartarians. However, it is believed that within the last 1,000 years the cathedrals and the mosque and all of these wonderful, you could say, architectural marvels were actually built by the Knights Templar and the Freemasons, who had access to all of this knowledge. And it is no coincidence that they build these these architectural wonders on sacred sites, on vortexes, on energetic, you could say, portals. Okay, there's just no coincidences. Yes, thank you for that beautiful reminder. We are eternal. That is indeed true. We are eternal. Starcadian is asking me, Ishmael, where is planet Eden? Eden? Eden was more of a term referring to the original Earth, which was a paradise world. So I would say that planet Eden is also Earth in the fifth dimension, which is the Terra Earth, dimensions 4, 5, and 6. So that's what I believe. Because again, we are returning back to Eden, guys, in the positive organic timeline where there is no AI, where there is no oppression, where there is no elites, where there is no control, where there is no division, where there is no suffering. Thomas Flips is saying that the stock market is about to vanish. Well, that's going to be the first indicator before they roll out the new financial system in the GCR. Yep. That is true. Are mentalics real? Mentalics.
Metallics. It's supposedly like an alien type of race that is made of like a metallic liquid form
Yes,
that
yeah,
kind
there
of
are
like merged
plenty
mercury
of
with.
races that are made out of metallic liquid form. Absolutely. Very similar to the Silver Surfer in the Marvel movie Fantastic Four. So, where do you guys think Marvel gets all their ideas from? The Silver Surfer, which is made out of metallic metal, liquid metallic metal, um, is part of the disclosure, guys. There are aliens out there that are made out of metallic metal. Absolutely. Ishmael is the U.S., the real Israel. Well, in terms of God's chosen land in modern times, yes, yes, we are the new Israel or the real Israel now. Exactly. Because think about it. God divided the world in Babylon, right, during the Tower of Babel incident, and he is reuniting the world in America, as America is now the melting pot of planet Earth. So, yes, we are officially, America is the spiritual Israel as long as we restore the republic. But when it was being run by the defunct US Corp under the control of the cabal, it wasn't Israel. It was a Babylon. It was the third Babylon. I'm sorry, third Babylon. But when the cabal is completely exposed and defeated, including their actors and their replacements, then it will be Israel again. Yeah. Yes, there is a huge. Well, next to Ukraine, you could say that Israel is the second hub of world corruption, where a lot of transferring of people, right, is taking place in the underground. Absolutely. Antares. This is a star system. There is a positive ET rays known as the Ontarians that are also assisting us, working with the Galactic Alliance. How many tribes settled in Israel? This is a question from Jack Put- Putleski. Well, the Israel, you could say the original 12 tribes go back to the descendants of Abraham. They're not the people in Israel today. Those aren't the 12 tribes. Okay. Most of them are now in America. And even more so, about, you could say that throughout history, 10 of the tribes kind of isolated themselves from the known world and they became the lost 10 tribes of Israel. And I actually reveal who the lost 10 tribes of Israel are in my book, The Secret Government Invisible Architects. Yeah. So, I hope by now that most of you have read my books, okay? Because there's a lot of information in these books. The Secret Government traces the war between the Cabal and the Alliance going back to 6,000 years. And then our Cosmic Origin, my groundbreaking work, restores cosmic and galactic information back to the Earth. And both are available on Amazon, guys. Both are available on Amazon. Ishmael, do you have any idea on the timing of the RV/GCR And how much longer? Thanks for all that you do. Well, like I mentioned today, we are in phase four. So as soon as phase four is completed, um, we're going to be seeing the greatest, distribution of world wealth back to the people. Well, somebody's asking why mud floods. You must be referring to how they were able to destroy the Tartarian civilization. Some speculate that the Vatican was involved, or the reason why they created mudslides to destroy the Tartarian civilization, which was global, by the way. And yes, the Vatican has always been working with the Draco reptilians from day one, guys. From day one. You guys are so intelligent. I'm just reading the conversation between you guys. You guys are very informed. I love that. I love that. Well, they say like attracts like. You attract your tribe. Yes. I'm going to actually address this. This is true. Well, first, let me read what BG24 saying. The 12 tribes migrated everywhere in the world. Many of them are here in the USA. The LDS Church found members of the tribes here in the US based on their genealogy work. Well, let me reveal something for the first time. Before the Mormon Church became corrupted by Brigham Young, Joseph Smith was left with a depository of all the genetic records traceable back to the ancient world. Okay, and that explains why the Mormon Church has all the records regarding everyone's genealogy. Okay, it was stored. I'm not going to say in which mountain, but it is inside a mountain in a vault. And it is believed that once the cabal was defeated, this was again something that Joseph Smith was tasked with before Brigham Young took over and infiltrated the church. That at the end of the cycle, when the cabal is gone from the earth, that those records would be released and everybody would know their genealogy going back to 6,000 years ago. So those records were actually deposited underneath the Solomon Temple back in 3000 BC. And then they were later recuperated by the Knights Templar. And then through the different factions of the Knights Templars, some of them being the early Masons before uh, their their corruption set in when they were infiltrated by the Bavarian Illuminati. Those records ended up in the hands of Joseph. Well, Joseph and the original founders of the Latter Day Saint Church, but they were told by benevolent ETs, because Joseph was working with benevolent ETs. When he had that vision of God the Father and God the Son, he was actually talking to Enlil and Anu. Anu and Enlil were the ones that appeared to Joseph Smith. Of course, when Brigham Young hijacked the church, they made it fundamental. They created it as a fundamentalist religion, but in essence, it was supposed to be a religion that was supposed to reveal the ancient mystery school teachings or the deep knowledge. However, Joseph Smith was given all the genealogical records that could be traceable back to Solomon via the Knights Templar. So, just for your information, guys. And that explains why the Mormon Church, some were secured inside a mountain in a vault, has access to everyone's genealogy. Let's see. Let's see. I can't believe I just told you guys who these two personages were that appeared to Joseph Smith. They were Anu and Enlil that have returned, of course. And what they did is they returned to give him a message. They were projecting. You could say they were projecting themselves so that Joseph Smith could see them. Thank you so much, Tammy Simmons, for the super chat. She says, Ishmael, I keep hearing the real Trump is leaving, emergency thing or something. Can you elaborate, please? If you're referring to the Simpsons, one of the Simpsons episode that show him having a heart attack or dying sometime in August, um, I'm not sure, guys. August just began. I guess we're all going to find out. But again, there are multiple Trumps. So even if this Trump, who is not the real Trump, croaks on us, the real Trump is still working with the alliance and operating things from behind the scenes, somewhere hidden in this world. That's all I'm going to say. All right, one more question. One more question. Who shall it be? Um, I can't help but to read the chat. When will arrests begin? How many books have you sold? When is the next solar flash? I mean, there's just so many questions. Golden Dome. When is the Golden Dome going to be completed? Glad you're back. How many books have you sold? That one's a repetitive one. What is the meaning of life? Well, that's a good question from Greg. The meaning of life, guys, is to find your authenticity and express yourself as you are. That is the meaning of life. And to live life to its fullest, right? Find your authenticity and express yourself as you are. Let's see. And most importantly, part of the meaning of life is to return back to who you are before you fell from the higher frequencies, from the higher dimensions. Restoring ourselves back to our original divine essence. That's part of the meaning of life. And someone was asking me, is Bashar legit? You guys have to develop your own discernment. I'm no longer going to say things about other people in this community online. Um, unless, of course, I notice, unless they're infiltrators or Trojan horses, then I need to expose them. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Yes, to return to the wholeness of our being. That's another response to the meaning of life. Thank you. Thank you. Well, for those that have read our Cosmic Origin, a lot of the key philosophical questions of who we are, where we come from, and where we're heading are all answered in this book right here, the purple book, our Cosmic Origin. All right, guys. Well, it's good to be back. I will have another update for you guys and more information to share in 2 nights on Wednesday. May the God Force be with you all. And again, for those that couldn't make the Zoom stream that paid for my stream, go ahead and email me so I could send you guys the recording to my email, projectrestorationzion@gmail.com. And with the copy of your receipt. Okay, email me with the copy of your receipt that you paid the $20. Because if you don't email me that, then I'm not going to send you the recording. All right, guys. May the God Force be with you all. And I will see you guys in 2 nights.